the AFC Championship game, the Chiefs and the Bengals. This line has had wild movement. The Chiefs opened up, I believe, as a 3-point favorite. I was actually at ground zero. I was in the mecca of it all when it popped up on the board, and it was like watching a stock crash. It was like popped up 3, 30 seconds later 2.5, 30 seconds later 2, about an hour later 1.5. And I was like, damn, and it swung. And then the Bengals were favored by 1.
Well, it's the injury, right? It's the unsure that Patrick Mahomes.
Well, I mean, people knew he was hurt when the line came out. No,
I get it.
Yeah,
you're right. So,
but the Chiefs right now have pretty much settled into a 1-point favorite in the game. So that's where it is with that. And I'll say it like this. This is for me what I was just talking about, where everything is on the line. And we welcome in Sam Flannel to the discussion here, D-Mac, because Sam Flannel's boy, Patrick Mahomes, and I love Patrick Mahomes, for the record. I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL. I think he's the best player, one of the best players in the NFL. However, and I know he's hurt, and sometimes it isn't fair. If he doesn't win this game, and the Bengals come in and they take his lunch, and Cincinnati goes to the Super Bowl, you're starting to approach Aaron Rodgers territory. And you are, Sam Flannel, and I know you don't like to hear that, and this might drive some people crazy, but you can ask the question. If they don't cash it in, you can start asking the question. Is he a one-timer? Is he a guy that got it done the first time but now can't get back, can't do it? That's what's on the line. Make no mistake. Hurt or unhurt.
I understand that, but Patrick Mahomes, at least, unlike any of the other quarterbacks in the Final Four, has already cashed in a Super Bowl, has won a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, like Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yes, I understand that. And I think that last year was a huge missed opportunity because Patrick Mahomes, more so than anybody else, choked away that second half. That was a huge missed opportunity. And this year they got another AFC Championship game at home in the Arrowhead Invitational, as it's been called, because it's been the AFC Championship game has been a home game for the Chiefs for 5 straight years. If they lose this, they would have lost 3 of them, which
it's not good enough.
It's not good enough, but my thing, and this is what has kind of bothered me a little bit, on Monday when I came back in after watching the Bengals dismantle the Buffalo Bills, I was drinking a lot of the Joe Burrow Kool-Aid myself because he was great in that game. He's, to me, the clear-cut second-best quarterback in the league. But I think people are prematurely coronating Joe Burrow by a little bit. Hey,
but that's what's on the line.
I understand that, but in order for him, I think, to usurp Patrick Mahomes, he would have to lead the Cincinnati Bengals to a win this weekend and then win a Super Bowl MVP.
Right.
Then we're willing to have those conversations.
Well, but that's it, though. You think in the court of public opinion, D-Mac, I'll ask you this question. In the court of public opinion, if Burrow does that and pulls that off and wins the Super Bowl, perception, he's elevated over Patrick Mahomes because he doesn't have the L's along the way.
What have you done for me lately? But guys, remember, we're talking about he's 27. You can't put him in the Rodgers and press. Brandon's right.
No.
He's already been back to the Super Bowl before.
And I get
the
that.
fact that the team is dominant and he's got the object is to get to the Final Four and see what's happened. You could see why he's lost. No, their dominance is and their dominance is there. But plus, Neil, he's got to play for 10 more years. So maybe this is his hiccups right now and figures it out because the times that he's lost or hasn't got there, he's run into Joe Burrow, who, am I right or not, has Patrick Mahomes ever beat Joe Burrow? Has a Patrick Mahomes team ever beat a Joe Burrow team?
No, they've not.
No, right? So
that's real.
The only way
we're talking
out
about
is
it.
through, right?
Yeah.
So that doesn't take away from his greatness as a quarterback. To me, that he's still going to be the best player, or arguably the best player in the league, but this is a team game. We're not talking about him individually. We got to see, can Kansas City in the past, right, hasn't been the team around them, right? That's what Cincinnati.
But that's also
Cincinnati's
because of him,
defense is a lot better than we thought. And what did they do last week, right? With 3 backup offensive linemen, they did something. That they're going to get Joe Burrow killed. No, they figured out a scheme to keep him upright. So that means oh my gosh, it took them a long time, but they figured something out. Now it's more of the chess match and to the team. To your point, when you look at it, if people who look at stats of who Joe Burrow's got this and Patrick Mahomes, it's 1 and 2. But at the end of the day, it doesn't take away to his greatness. I think goes more to which team has been better, who's had a better team.
Right. And in the WoodwardSports.com chat thread, Giovanni Moscheri says if he's on the path to Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't mean he can't turn it around in the future. And yeah, and I'm not saying it's linear. Like if they don't win, it's over, close the book on them. I am saying, though, you can ask the question. Am I being fair here to say, because you know what's going to come out.
Yeah.
If Joe Burrow wins, what's wrong with Mahomes? Why can't he beat Burrow? How come when he gets in the biggest game, he rarely wins? They will start having that Aaron Rodgers.
A Super Bowl MVP already on his resume. Not rarely wins. Come on, that's crazy talk.
Hey, Sam Flannel. Have they been the best team in football for the past 5 years?
If I would say so, and I do think that if they don't win it this year, you can maybe say that they left a couple on the table.
You can ask
fair.
the questions.
That's fair.
I'm not saying it's linear. I'm not saying it's a closed book. That's what the talk will. Spemo, am I crazy here or what, man?
I don't think so. I think you're not saying it's happening. It is there, but the questions do start to arise. I think Patrick Mahomes will eventually get back and win a Super Bowl for sure, but he's got to slay the dragon of Joe Burrow first.
We just talk about windows, though, and D-Mac, the Chiefs are an example because Mahomes got that contract, and what was the cost? What was the cost?
Well, here's the thing.
Tyreek Hill was the cost.
Right? What you can put around. So these are conversations I think to have. We can do this, we can do that, but this is where it puts us. So is the fact that Patrick Mahomes committed so much money to him, taken away from, a player here, a player there, somebody that could get them over the edge.
But see,
I don't know if that's what it is, but that's the way that they've gone.
I think the mistake people in the chat are making, and the mistake that Sam Flannel, they act like it's guaranteed he's going to get back to 3 Super Bowls. And the data has shown us, once you get paid and you inhibit your team's ability to move, it's a lot harder, I think, because, again, people think everything's linear, and it's not. And it's no guarantee that they'll be back. It's no guarantee, and we've seen it now. We've seen it a couple of times where he's come in banged up, a little bit in the Super Bowl as well. His offensive line was decimated. Tom Brady didn't end his career, like Stick said, trying to stir up the pot. But it did go down that way, though. It did. Make no mistake.
I mean,
he got cooked.
Obviously, the Chiefs having no tackles had a lot to do with it. But when we look back at the history books, I think people are going to say, how in the world did a Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs team only score 9 points in the Super Bowl? And do I think that's necessarily a huge stain on his legacy? Not necessarily, but it's fair to kind of put that as a missed opportunity. I mean, with Patrick Mahomes, to me, he's the one guy playing right now who actually, with what he's done his first 5 seasons and what we could project him to do, could end up in the GOAT conversation someday. But he's got to start winning more rings. 1 is obviously not going to be enough. He's got to at least win a couple more, maybe 2 or 3 more. And I think he's the type of quarterback that can do it, but you can't just leave these opportunities on the table year after year after year. So you've kind of turned me a little bit. There is a lot on the line for Patrick Mahomes. I've just been a little bit annoyed with the premature Burrow coronating.
But if he goes in and does it,
then
can't nobody tell me nothing,
that's
right?
True, but he still would. I think he'd still have to win the Super Bowl to be.
I think the Bengals are winning this game.
They
I
could.
think too.
They could.
I honestly believe that.
Bengals, if they get the way the Bengals defense got after Josh Allen, I know the Chiefs' offensive line is much better than the Bills' offensive line, but still, if they can get after Patrick Mahomes to somewhat of a degree like that, like, the Bengals are going to put up points. That's going to happen, period.
And that's the thing, too. For me, this Chiefs defense, because I watch the Chiefs a lot. Obviously, I've talked to you guys about my affinity for Tyreek Hill. Watched him through the years. I think Tyreek Hill is the most electric player in the NFL right now with the ball in his hand. Watching them for a long time and then watching every moment of that game against Jacksonville, their defense just doesn't reassure you, and it never has. It never has. And what's scary is like 2 of their top 4 top paid players, are Jones, Clark, I believe, is up there too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're paying.
Their front side and into like their rush and stuff that's legit, right? But once you get to the secondary and there's holes. Right, there's holes, and it's Joe Burrow. I mean, I look for T. Higgins to have a big game, right? You look at how are they going to run the ball. The one thing is that what they figured out is they've directed. If you watch what they did last game, is they directed and initiated which blocking lanes, throwing lanes for Joe Burrow, and kept them upright. Now, I think that Kansas City will get more pressure, and it's not saying they're not going to sack him, but you're not going to see him go down 7-8 times, one or two times. But I think that, what Cincinnati's built, what they're doing on all facets of the game, I got Cincinnati winning this one too.
And it wasn't even like just the defensive line of the Bengals that was getting after Josh Allen. It was the corner blitzes.
Every blitz they brought.
Safety disguised beautifully. Like,
did you not see more in that game of, like, usually everybody knows, watch tape knows, okay, this guy here, but I caught him on the blind side, like not even seeing guys like this. So these great defensive coordinators like Cincinnati are pulling out things that they haven't shown all year long. Mm-hmm. So get ready to see that, because it can turn the game as we saw.
That game was a good lesson into, like, when you say, how can somebody be that wide open? Or when you say, how can they not block that guy? Because you don't know.
They're disguising it
You
so
don't
well.
know which way they're coming from and which way they're going.
Yeah.
Like, it is truly a crapshoot, which is why you see blown coverages.
Yeah.
And why you see blown assignments, blocking, and you see quarterbacks get crushed, etc. We will wrap up this discussion when we come back. Real quick, Cornelius T. Everybody walks on eggshells when it comes to criticizing Mahomes. I know. Like, I feel like I had to draw the sword there. And I wasn't even being critical.
There's two Mahomeses I criticize, and neither of them named Patrick.
That's
All right.
That's good.